All right, in this video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this business of our factored form. And factored form is the third different way that we're going to graph out parabolas, okay? And so to go ahead and set things up, what specifically we're going to be learning is that what are the advantages to the factored form of a quadratic equation, and how do I graph quadratic equations in factored form. Okay, and so let's go ahead and see all the different ones that we've learned so far. So in the past, we've done standard form, okay? And we have did all of these things that are going to go ahead and there was 5 steps for the standard form. But one of the easiest easiest things that we looked at for this standard form is this business of we were able to find the Y-intercept very easy, because when we plugged in 0, it was just going to be that C value. So the Y-intercept was easy to find, okay? Because oftentimes, again, when we plugged in 0 for for all the x's, the only thing that was left was this business was the C, because that went to 0 and that went to 0. And then we went ahead and we learned this business of the vertex form. And true to its name, that we found out that it is very easy for us to, 1 minute here, it's very easy for us to find the vertex. Okay, so we always did the opposite of h, right? And so it was opposite h, and in the true direction of k, all right? And so that was, if we practice that out, that was very easy for us to go ahead and do out. Now, what we were looking at next is this business of the factored form. And we're going to find out that the factored form, and we'll see this as the video progresses, that it's going to be easy to find X-intercepts. Okay, and so that is 3 different ways that we could do them out. Each all have their different advantages. And so let's go ahead and delve into plotting one in its factored form by just plugging in points, and then see where that takes us. All right, so here we are at plotting the points one by one when we go ahead and we plug them into the actual factored form. So this is, again, an example of a factored form right here. And let's go ahead and see where this takes us. So I'll do the first couple by hand, and then we will slowly, I'll just leave it on over to you guys to finish the table, and I will finish it up and show what the correct graph is going to go ahead and look like. All right, so we have this, we're plugging in 0, okay, so we're plugging 0 in to the x's right here, and so this is going to give us a -4, okay, times a -2 or a +2, that's going to give me a -8, and then I cut it in half, and that is going to give me the output of a -4. So I have my first point as a 0, -4. Then I'm going to do the next one right here. And so I would have 1, and you can plug this in on your calculator as well, Desmos, it doesn't matter. And so we are plugging that on in, and this is going to give us a -3 times a +3, which is going to give us a -9. -9 divided by half, and that is going to give us a -4.5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is fill all these in, and then plot the points so we can see what this parabola is going to look like. What I need you to do is fill them all in from here, and then just maybe pause the video and then check your solutions. All right, so completing our our table here and then plotting all the points, you can see we have that smooth parabolic graph that we've seen in the previous two sections. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come up with a strategic way to go ahead and basically, instead of having to plot all these points, just again use 5 steps to graph any parabola that is in factored form. So here we go. All right, so we have our first step is very similar to the other ones, is that if we are interested in is the parabola facing up or down, okay? And so we have in there the numerical value that is in front of the parentheses there. So remember, the numerical value that is in front of the parentheses is going to decide whether it goes up or down. And so we have A, right, in this case is a -2, and so therefore we know that this parabola is going to go ahead and face down. All right. So now what we need to do is that we need to take a look at this says is that we take these two parts, okay, of the factored form and we set them equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the x to, and this is our first step. Our second step is going to be x minus 5 equals 0 and x minus 1 equals 0. So again, what we're doing is that we're taking these two and we're setting each one to 0. And then we have two very easy math problems, or algebra problems, I should say, to solve. So I got add 5s on both sides and add 1s on both sides. And so I would have x equals 5 and x equals 1. Okay, and so what's cool about that is that I take both of those values and I can then say that this is going to be one x-intercept, which is going to be 5, 0, and this will be the other x-intercept, 1, 0. Okay, and you can see how easy it is to find the x-intercepts, and this is the step that we're doing right now. Okay, oops, let's use a different color on this guy. Okay, and so just kind of color coordinating everything with the steps here. Okay, first order of business, up or down, and then second is get the x-intercepts. So now we can, oops, go ahead and plot them. So we go 1 and 5, and then we move on to the next step. Now this step's a little bit tricky. This is finding the vertex. So what we do is that we it says that we're going to add the x-intercepts and divide by 2 to find the x value of the vertex. So let's do that. So I'm going to set up the third part, 3, and I add the two x values, which is going to be 5 and 1 that we just got right here. Okay, and then we get that 6, and then we divide that by 2, and that is going to give us 3. So we know that the vertex is going to have the x value of 3. So what we need to do then is that we need to plug it back into the original up here to get the y value. So I go -2, and I got 3 minus 5, and you can use your calculator for this too. Okay, plugging that on in like that over there. And now we basically do the arithmetic. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have a -2 and a +2, so that's going to give me a -4. And then I'm going to multiply by a -2, so that's going to give me 8. So I'll just write all that out. So that's going to give me 8. And so that means is that I have, and that's the y value, and so I would have the vertex at 3, 8. So plotting that, and it kind of looks like I'm doing a good job so far, as we know it's going to be opening down, right? And so if it's opening down, Like we predicted, my parabola looks like it's opening down, and so I know that I'm off to a really good start. Okay, and so this is my third step. 4 steps, both of them are pretty straightforward. Okay, is that this one is to draw the line of symmetry, and since we already have this business of the vertex, we don't need to. We've already found it, so we can go right to this line of symmetry, which is right here. Okay, and that is going to be the x value of the vertex, which is 3. And it is going to be right here. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then lastly, we have the find the Y-intercept. And to find the Y-intercept, oops, is that we go 5, and I'm going to plug 0 in like we typically would. Plug it into the original. So we got 2, 0 minus 5, 0 minus 1. Okay, and this is our last step that I'll highlight out, which is over here. Okay, and let's see where that takes us. So that's going to be a -2 times a -5 times a -1. So it looks like that is going to give us a -10. So I'll plot that. And likewise, I'm going to be using the line of symmetry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that gives me a point right here. And so therefore, I'm going to plot that, and now I know that my parabola is complete. I got 5 points, and I've done so strategically, just like that. Okay, so that's our first example. Let's take a look at another example that has some more peculiar numbers with it. All right, starting in here, we notice first thing is that we have this business of finding up or down again. And so if we're going to go find up or down, in this case, we have no numeric value. Again, numeric, not variable, in front of the parentheses. And so therefore, I'm going to call that 1, much like we have in other instances in the past. And so I know that with the, step 1, oh boy, having problems with the different pens here, is that A is positive. So we know that that is going to go ahead and face up, all right, because it's a 1. Next, we're going to set each of these parts right here equal. So looking at the second part over here is that we want to find the X-intercepts. And so to do that, I am going to be setting this part right here and this part right here equal to 0 and solve, and that will give my X-intercepts. So I get 2x minus 5 equals 0, and 2x plus 3 equals 0. I solve these out, so I'm going to add 5 to each side. Okay, and that's going to give me 2x equals 5, and then I divide each side by a 2, and that is going to give me x equals 2.5. Okay, so that's my first X-intercept. The next one, I go subtract 3, and that's going to give me 2x equals a -3. Yeah, rats. All right, and then divide by a 2, and that is going to give me x equals a -1.5. So my X-intercepts are going to be 2.5, comma 0, and -1.5, comma 0. So plotting those out, there we go, and -1.5, there we go right there, all right. And so the next thing we need to do is find the vertex. And I'm out of room a little bit, so I'm just going to write the vertex off over here. Don't write on the desk. And so finding the vertex, this step right here. So again, color coordinating, up or down. This guy right here, and now we are over here. We want to find the vertex. So step 3, finding the vertex is we take the two x values and we add them up. So we go 2.5 plus a negative 1.5, and that's just going to go ahead and give me 1. And then I have to divide that by 2, and that is going to give me 0.5. Okay, so I got 0.5 is going to be my x value, my vertex, and now I have to plug it on in to the original, and so let's do that. So I got 2, and then times, 2 times 0.5 minus 5, and 2 times 0.5 plus 3. And let's do these out, okay? And so, just walking through this, 2 times a half is just going to give me 1, and then minus 5, that is a negative 4. And I'm going to multiply that by the result of the other one. So this is going to give me half as 1, and so positive 4. So that is going to give me a negative 16. And that is the x value, or the y value, my vertex. And so my vertex is going to go ahead and be, is going to be 0.5, comma, negative 16. And so I go right here, and you can see, looking pretty good. I know that the parabola is facing up, and so it looks like it's going to be facing up, so I just need to finish things off. So my fourth step is going to be find the y-intercept. I'm sorry, draw the line of symmetry. And drawing the line of symmetry is easy. We're just going to use the x value of the vertex, which is always just going to be this we got right there. Okay, and from here, I do that. And now I am going to go ahead and just plug that on, not plug it in, I'm sorry. I'm going to find the y-intercept such that I can go ahead and from there find another point and then reflect it on over. So we are almost finished with this, this example, okay? So the fifth step is the y-intercept. So we go over here, y-intercept, and we know that we're going to plug 0 in. So we got 2 times 0, okay, minus 5, and 2 times 0, and we're going plus 3. Again, we are just plugging it in to the original. That gives us negative 5 times 3, which is going to give me a negative 15. And so my y-intercept is going to be 0, comma, negative 15. And then I plot that and reflect. And it looks like from here we are all ready to roll. Looks like we've done a pretty darn good job again, so everything makes sense here. Color coordinating everything out for those folks that need, helps them learn. And that's it. So the last thing we do is we get to do our little parabolic victory lap and connect all the points, and that is how we do that. Okay. So, that is one with a little bit more yucky numbers, and we are on to the next example where we have some numbers that are missing, and so how do we deal with that?